So how's it going, everyone? Welcome to the League of Europe. We're just doing a whole podcast. We're going to be covering Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3. All of the races over the cross of Singapore and probably some before because it has been a very long time since we've done a podcast. We were supposed to be doing these weekly and we kind of just gave up, to be honest with you. So we're now doing a podcast for all three divisions. I am joined by Mark, aka Mr. Old School. I can't remember what
Hello.
the end name is. The end numbers are. I don't know if it's still 2000 or 3000 or what.
3,000.
3000.
3,000. Yeah, no, it's been a while. It's been a hell of a while, but it's just getting everyone's schedules together, really, if I'm honest. I've not been the freest person, and Robert has been really, really busy as well, so it's just a bit of a tough one.
Yeah,
But we're here.
we've managed to find the time to do one. And because now I've
Mm.
also got plenty of time on my hands, I'm down to do one whenever. So, but yeah, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, we're going to be going over the Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, all of the standings, also all the results of across Singapore. And I think we might try and see if we can do maybe a couple of the ones from before. It hasn't exactly
Mm.
been too much. What one at Division One I know has changed quite a lot. Division Two has
Mm.
changed quite a bit since we've done it, and I think same. Well, Division Three might have stayed sort of around the same margin since we last done a podcast for them, but
Mm.
I definitely know Division One and Two have changed drastically. So we will
Yeah.
get on. In fact, let's go straight on with the results of Singapore. We'll start it off with Division One. So originally there was only 10 Division 1 drivers racing, and so I mean you can check that out on the stream. We'll probably leave a link for that in the description anyway. But
Mm.
here are the results. I raced in it, so did YHYY, and so did Tiggerby. And here are the results. So New Waluigi, an impressive first place finish from 7th on the grid. The race was a really weird one because I think it started off dry, went to
Mm.
inters, which then went to wets, and then went
Mm.
back to inters, and
And back to dry.
and then back to dry right at the end. So it was a very weird race, but we made the most of it.
It's just absolutely bizarre to watch because you just had no one actually pulled off a perfect strategy other than the winner. So Harry had a nightmare because he was leading a lot of the race.
Mm,
Problem is he had no information to work off. So if he missed and the lap's so long, he gambled. I think he put on Inters
yeah.
and I think Owen did as well actually, and they just lost boatloads of time. And then they come back in, and then there's safety cars. June quite humorously put on Inters under the safety car
Mm.
and couldn't keep up, and then repitted and put the wets back on, only for 2 laps later to go back in and put the Inters back on.
I think you just called it
Um,
a day at that point.
it's just mad. So many errors in some senses, but the people that could gamble did, and I thought it was quite clever. Decky was a good example. So he had a pit stop gap between himself, ahead and behind, and he elected to pit at one point onto a bit of a riskier strategy
Mm.
at the end. He wasn't going to lose anything by doing it. So yeah, it was interesting. It was more about how people worked under pressure, not really about the pace. Because I think anyone would have won that race if they'd have put Inters on and everyone else didn't.
Yeah. But just actually having a look back at the results as well, like the times from it, New Waluigi finished 21 seconds ahead of Harry.
Yeah,
That's that's a big margin, especially
I
against
think that
someone
was
like
only a lap and
Harry.
a half. I think genuinely that was a lap. I might have been two. I'm pretty sure it was only a lap and a half that he built that gap in as well.
Yeah.
So interestingly, I think you could have pitted on potentially. I think you could have pitted on the last lap for slicks, and probably
and
made up the
sped up.
time,
Yeah.
which is a bit mad. But
But instead, me and Owen, we thought we'd have our own little drifting battle at the back. You know, we'd drift
mm,
around the streets of Singapore
it
on
looked
our
like
wet
something out of
tyres.
Need for Speed.
Yeah. No, it was good
Yeah,
fun though.
very
It was
mad.
good racing in D1, just seeing obviously like how my pace would compare to, you know, the top guys in the division above, should I say. Larkin had quite an impressive result as well, finishing in P3. Our highest D2
Mm.
finisher, YHYY, was fourth. He finished ahead of Decky and Rick, but I know Rick had quite a few penalties.
Yeah, I think yeah, I bet it must have been interesting to watch
Mm.
from your perspective. You see YHYY doing really well. You think, ah, great, this isn't going to help me
Yeah.
later on. He's blatantly going to be quick, but then the conditions were completely different, weren't they? So it
Yeah.
was
Like
just
in the
mad
D2
race.
race, it was completely dry compared to what it was in the D1 race. That was just completely changing conditions. It's like it's rare to get conditions like that. But
Yeah,
hopefully next
just
time it does
really,
happen.
yeah, completely mad race, completely mad.
Without a doubt. But as I said, Decky finished in fifth with Rick in sixth. I think that was the other way around when I think Rick was in like third and then ended up dropping back down to sixth because of his penalties. And same with Decky. I think he was in second, but just got more penalties than everybody else. Spine overtook me and Owen on the final lap. So Spine finished in seventh with Owen in eighth and me in ninth. Game Boy was 10th, and we had our non-finishers of the two Spaniards of Doom and Cantera and Tiggerby.
I didn't realise Tuman, Cantera, and Tiggy retired.
I
I'm
think,
honest.
yeah, because I remember Tiggerby going into the pits because I think he done this a similar thing to what happened with Doom. I think he ended up actually
Mm.
hitting the wall, had to pit for a new set of tyres, obviously changing his wing as well. But then when he done that, I think he changed into slicks, and then it started raining. Then he went in, uh, because I think, as I said, yeah, it was raining, and then I think he broke his wing again. So he went back into the pits, changed his wing, went on to set the enters. Obviously, that's when it was a safety car as well. And
Mm.
then it started, and then it went to wets. So I just think Tiggerby got very unlucky with how that whole race went.
Every touch turned to crap basically, but
Yeah,
it makes the standings look quite intriguing now. I
yeah,
think for D1
without a doubt. And
because
yeah, go on, sorry.
Mitch is I don't know if he's working or if his missus is a not an F1 fan, whatever the reason is, but he's got quite a gap to make up now to the point where he could win every race and not win the title.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
very
so
strange.
yeah, because well, I mean, it would probably be relatively unlikely because it would mean that Harry, I think, would have to come. Well, he'd have to come exactly second, 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 second. Um,
Even then, I don't
I
think
know,
he'd
I know,
do
there's a
that.
long way to go. Yeah, the gap's 31, so the gap would be 20. It'd be 28 that Mitch would make up. But I think if Harry got a third, I assume Mitch would win because of uh, more. Well, yeah, almost certainly because if he's going to win the last four, he's going to definitely have more race wins than Harry. So,
Yeah,
but in some ways, it's still kind of in his hands. But it's getting to the point where it won't be if he doesn't start attending. I don't know. Is he racing this week?
he
I
might be.
think.
He might be because he did say he had a bit of a problem with his will as well. So I think he hasn't said he isn't racing. So I'm assuming he is.
Yeah. Might be just trying to lull Harry into a false sense of security.
Maybe, maybe. But standings are on your screen now. Obviously, as I said, Harry is now in first position. As I said, the D1 standings have changed drastically. So Harry in the Mercedes, 146 points. Rick in the Red Bull is on 130.
Mm.
Now, what
Yeah, and
Harry is probably
that's
hoping is him or is Rick or Mitch to basically just one of them not race.
I mean, I think he's got the pace on Rick. Um, I don't know if he's got the pace on Mitch. Not entirely sure. My head says no. But he might have one or two tracks that he really likes coming up. I think he's one of those drivers. I think he does really well at the tracks he likes. Not quite as drastic as like certain guys. I'm trying to think like
Me with
James
Britain.
down in D3. You with Britain, Wave with Britain, me with like Austria and Bahrain. Like I don't think he's that pronounced, but I know that I think he's quite honest and with his he does have biases towards certain tracks.
Mm.
One of which I believe is Suzuka. I
Ooh,
think he likes Suzuka.
ooh. And for D1, that's next week as
So
well. As we're recording this, obviously it's a
mm.
Friday, the day before Monza. So you got any predictions for any of the D1 guys in Monza?
um, I would probably say, well, we've got returning drivers coming back actually. Something we haven't, and I think that will factor in. We've got IRT, is it?
Yeah, Louis.
Inside Line Racing.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've got Louis and we've got Janel, otherwise known to certain people, you might remember him more as Kalek. He's very seems to have got a lot quicker, actually. A lot quicker. I noticed he was, I think, somewhere in like the 40s on the esports qualifying draft, so he
really.
wasn't too far from qualifying.
Wow.
So with those guys back, I think it could be quite interesting. I would guess Louis would win just from memory, almost kind of like remembering his pace more than anything. But I think it'll be interesting to see how Harry compares now that he's going to be focused. He wants to win the title.
Yeah.
How his driving kind of compares to guys that whilst it's good to have them back and they're probably looking forward to it, they're probably not as they've not got that extra 5% determination that someone like Harry and Rick are going to have. But with that said, I still think Louis wins. I still think Kalek might come. I think it might be. If I was to predict Louis, then Harry, then Kalek
Yeah.
would be my prediction.
The top will be extremely difficult to call. As you said, there's going to be new returning drivers that obviously we had in PRL from before. I've
Mm.
practiced with Harry, and let's just say I could not keep up to save my life. Um, no, I would definitely say Harry is going to be within that top three.
Mm.
It just comes down to it depends if anybody else is also going to make any mistakes or if anyone else could just come out of the blue. Did Decky say he's
Mm.
racing this week? If he
He's
is,
not, but then sometimes
uh,
he changes his mind.
yeah, that's true.
But is he quite quick? He might be racing. He might actually be racing and just not told anyone. Because if he's practicing, I'd find it a bit weird if he was practicing and
Not
not
racing.
racing.
Yeah.
He's quite quick round there.
If Decky is racing, I'm going to say Decky is going to be the winner of it. I reckon he's getting back to his F1 2017 pace, without a doubt. So I would definitely say
Okay.
Decky would be first. I reckon Mercedes won two.
Okay.
Merc won two. If Mitch races, he'll finish third. Forza Ferrari.
Wow. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. I find it hard to back against Mitch in this game, but
I
then
just don't
again,
think he's been
I do
enjoying the
as
game
well.
too much and just not playing it. But then again, it's like that with most people now. They're just waiting until the
Yeah.
next Formula One comes out, which is literally like 4 weeks' time. 4 weeks today
Yeah.
of this recording.
Yeah. So I think it's going to factor into how people perform.
Yeah,
Certainly.
for
Jump
definite.
onto.
But yeah, we'll go on board with the D2 standings now, or the results for Singapore for Division 2. Something that, again, I was a part of. So 2 Singapore races in a row definitely drained me. But the Finn that finished fourth in D1 actually finished in first for Singapore. Congrats to him. My
Mm.
championship rival. Harry, who is a reserve, or in fact he filled in for my teammate Campbell. He finished in P2, so nicely done to the Greek. And your teammate Wave, or I still don't know how to say his new gamer tag. Is it Ton Albanak?
Tom Albanek? Yeah,
Something like that.
just sounds weird.
Yeah. But he's the one that finished in third, literally only 3/10 ahead of myself. We were, funny enough,
Hmm.
both of us were fourth and fifth.
Hmm.
But I remember
Yeah,
we had a pretty good battle at this. It was like in the start of the race.
yeah, yeah, we did actually. I was just before this, I was actually just editing some footage just for putting my highlights up, and you and Harry actually. It was more Harry that you got past quite easy,
Mm.
um, and then I was going kind of two abreast through pretty much every corner in Sector 2 with Harry until the bridge, which
Yeah,
was
I
fairly
remember
hairy.
him. I remember him saying it as well when I was in the party with him. He was excuse me. He said that he made like an amazing overtake on yourself when like just before the bridge section. And I
Yeah,
remember him just like like going, oh my God.
I kind of he had it's one of them where it was kind of he had the line. I had the inside, but the corner's too tight for me to try and defend, so I let him have his little little photography moment there, and he waltzed off.
Yeah. No, fair play to him. Obviously, him being a reserve, he's only just sort of returned into LOE. I think he'd done the last two races as well before this, but didn't really get
Mm,
too far with them. Obviously, with this one, Singapore, I know he has a little bit of history around not just in PRL but in AOR as well. He
mm.
definitely has a bit of history around this track, so he'll know what I'm talking about.
But
Put it that way.
he's got he's got quicker
Hmm.
since I last raced him. I'm almost certain. I'm almost certain he's got quicker.
Yeah, without a
Um,
doubt.
yeah, and maybe it's just a good track for him. I don't know, but I was quite impressed by his pace.
Yeah. No, he did have a good pace around it. He was quite shocked that he actually finished in second as well after when I was speaking to him. So he done well to stick there. He did do well. But yeah, so the top five obviously rounded out with myself and you as well. Adventures back in, who's only just sort of rejoined back in. I think his last race was in Canada with us. Only just
Yeah,
sort of came back into D2, finishing P6. I think he was saying he was using no assist in the wheel.
yeah. He was. I think he has changed, and he was fifth on track. But I believe he got him and Zero, otherwise known as Yrex, got just crazy amount of penalties. He got 12 seconds worth of penalties.
Yeah, hence why they
So
probably finished so close to each other on track. Because Zero was the one that actually finished in seventh, only 9 tenths behind Adventures.
mm,
Westy, again, someone that I know he raced in Austria. I think had a little bit of a crash out. He finished in eighth.
yeah,
In fact, he was on like towards like, the back end of the grid. Ended up finishing in
mm.
eighth in the end, so not a bad result from him. Evolution in ninth. Thought he'd be a little bit
What
higher,
happened to
but
Evil?
I know he did say he was struggling with tyre temps.
Oh yes, no, that's right. Because rare to see him struggle.
Yeah,
It's normally he's normally someone that I'm just the amount of times I look up and I see either like I'm just behind him or something,
yeah,
with like 4 laps to go, but he's like 15 seconds up the road. Like, so yeah, it's a bit unusual for him to be that far down.
yeah. Uh, Rounding out the top 10 is Ben in the Aston Martin Red Bull. Again, probably not a result he wanted because I know he can challenge for wins. I know he can be really quick. I think, like you mentioned earlier, he's got to be a driver. I think he's a driver that he'll race well at a track that he likes, not at a track that he doesn't particularly want to do anything to do with.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, got a man in 11th, Mr. West.
Yep. Sterling finishing
Yeah,
in P11. And a bit of a controversial one. I don't know if it's still changed yet or not, but Velocity finishing in P12. Now, there was a massive incident with him and Bree. I think that was happened in turn 6 or 7? The tight right
yeah.
hander.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it. I don't know. It just depends on what you class as a corner. Like around turn 1, 2,
Yeah.
3 is whatever it will be like. But he you see that I found that incident really interesting because when Bree showed me, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be completely candid. I thought that's a joke. This guy needs kicking out of the league.
Yeah.
Did I genuinely did, and I said it to Bree. I said, "No, it's not. It's not right." Bree was livid, and then this is why I'm not an well, I am an organizer. That's why I'm not a steward because Carcan and Robert actually, funny enough, on the stream said, "I'll have to have a look at that." They didn't look great. And then Carcannon showed me the footage from his point of view, and he clearly nicked Bree's car just as he was pulling out, and then lost all control. Um, Not the best of moves, don't be wrong, like, but it's just complete accident, complete fluke. There's no way. I mean, if he meant it, kudos. Like, needs to, he needs to be doing that on lobbies a lot more because it was expertly done. But it was just so unfortunate. So, and really big shout out to him because he actually completely slowed down to let everyone through. So he let Caesar through. But Caesar had 15 seconds worth of penalties. So,
He ended up
um,
finishing behind Caesar, ahead of Caesar because of penalties.
yeah, he was actually trying to finish outside of the points because he felt really bad.
Yeah.
Uh, so, yeah, I don't know him at all, but I think Harkannen might have raced with him over, over an AOR.
Yeah.
And he's, and Carcannon's like, no, he wouldn't do that. He's a cool guy, and I think he felt really bad. So
Yeah.
hopefully, he probably deserves some kind of like punishment just because the move it was still a bit of a weird move, and it probably, but, and it obviously affected someone's race
Drastically.
to the point where they did it.
Yeah.
So, but I hope it's not too harsh because I
Yeah.
think it'll be fair.
But obviously, talking about Caesar finishing in 13th, as you said, he had like 15 seconds worth of penalties. Bones ended up finishing in 14th, and I believe our non-finishers was Bree, Tiggerby. Oh, who were the other two?
Who else would have been?
Kryptonite. Did he race?
Did Kryptonite race? I don't think he did. I think Bastos race? No, it's Bastos definitely.
Yeah.
Bastos raced.
Oh yeah, Bastos DNF.
And ooh,
Who's the other
who
one?
would it be?
Sarja.
Charger. Yeah,
That was it.
yeah. So yeah,
So
that's
I think Sarja
a
went
bit of
out
a
in like the first lap.
yeah. He did. He went out really early. I don't know what happened to him. No idea to be fair, but he maybe he was trying to help Caesar. Maybe he was doing a bit of a Flavio Briatore Singapore Renault move.
Potentially.
I'm sure he wasn't, but
Yeah.
you know,
I also just realised
could
Caesar
be,
didn't
could
pick
be
his
that.
car. He ended up going in the Mercedes. Didn't actually pick his car and pick the Williams.
What twonk? But yeah, one of them things.
Yeah, without a doubt. But the standings for D2 are now on your screen. Yours truly is actually at the top of the standings, and I haven't won a race yet.
You not won a race?
No,
That's actually fairly mad. That's pretty crazy.
I haven't won a single race yet.
Okay.
Oh, actually, hang on a second.
Wow.
No,
You must have.
no, I haven't. I would have finished in first in Baku if a certain someone wasn't racing, Tammed. But
Yeah.
no,
You said about him a bit.
no, but no, I haven't won a race yet. I've finished more. I think finished more sort of consistently in like the top side of the points. I know
Mm.
Tiggerby's won a race. I know YHYY's won a race. Well, he has now.
Caesar has.
Caesar's won a race.
Uh,
Ben's won a
Kryptonite.
race.
Maybe.
I think it
I
was
don't
Austria.
know
I think it was
actually.
no. Was it Austria? He was battling for first with Kryptonite. I think it was in Austria. I don't know if Kryptonite or it was Ben that won it. One of them two. But
You've got to think four race wins have disappeared out the division with RJ and Tam. So it's probably not that many people actually that have won races in the division really.
yeah, exactly.
But
It
yeah,
is
no,
close.
it's interesting. YHYY is only 4 points behind you, which
This
it's
could lead
interesting
to a
because
good title battle.
I said to you before we went on air, I said, oh, it's pretty rubbish that you were ahead actually. You kind of laugh because you're like, what do you mean? But what I mean is that I think that you're the quickest driver, but then actually, if YHYY is retired twice
Mm.
and he's only 4 points behind you, maybe that's wrong. Maybe he is the quicker driver. And I think, yeah, with Tigger being third, 14 points behind you and 10 points behind YHYY, I have a feeling he likes tracks that are like
Tight,
a class.
tight tracks.
Yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely, and tracks that perhaps have one line, like you have to maximize that line, and like where you have to track extend as well. So Singapore's a good example
Japan can be
of
another
that.
good
If you
example of that.
Yes, absolutely. Um, so be interesting. I'm quite keen to see he will either. I don't know. I think he'll either finish 40 points back, or he'll be right in it.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll stay around this mark. I think he will. He'll either be the making of him or the breaking of him. Basically, is
Yeah.
the impression I get with him.
Interesting enough, I know obviously we were just talking about YHYY sort of retiring from 2 races. I haven't started in 3 of them. 3 races I haven't started in. And I think
Oh, okay.
YHYY's also
Yeah.
got might have around the same.
Hmm. So that flicks it back again. You know, it's deadly close.
Mm.
It is deadly close, and I think what's really impressive about D2 is that the top 6 drivers are all race for different teams.
Mm.
So, and obviously, because there's a big battle, really. I think anyone could come fourth from
Yeah, without a doubt.
Caesar down to
Down to yourself.
whoever. Yeah, maybe even 11th actually. I don't know what the differences are, but
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is
yeah,
really tight. I think
was,
Evolution's the one that's in 11th. I think he's only like 1 or 2 points behind yourself.
yeah,
So,
and
yeah, he can be
he's
one
really
that
quick.
can be really quick. So,
Yeah, and you got guys like Shape
yeah.
and stuff like who I don't think have raced enough, so their points tally doesn't look hugely impressive. But it's just hard to score points. It's really hard to score points in this division, to the point where I think Singapore was my best score result,
Mm.
10 points, and last season it was just turn up and I'll minimum come third in half the races. Like, so it's really weird. It's really different. I'm enjoying this season a lot more, and I think the racing's a lot tighter.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. But that's, I mean, yeah. Obviously, top 3, any of us can still win this championship. Caesar's obviously in 4th, as you can see on the screen. He had a peak start to the season,
Mm,
and it's kind of just dropped off,
mm,
which is something I'm actually
yeah,
quite shocked about.
you get. I think you get people that are improvers in this game, and people that have a natural pace, and they can get to grips with the game quick, but might not improve as much. I think he falls into that category,
Mm.
alongside people like probably me, if I'm honest. And then you get the opposite. You get your Breeze, and then your Decky, I suppose. I know it's different because he was learning no assist. Um, and guys like that who just continue to improve and just seem to get quicker and quicker every week. So
Yeah.
maybe that's it. I think he's also not necessarily the most. I don't know. I don't
Consistent.
want to be too critical. But yeah, he gets in some right odd scrapes, and you see him like the wrong way around in random. Like he tends to make unforced errors more than most people in the division.
Yeah. No, without a doubt, it's a bit of a weird one. It is a bit of a weird one. Ben in P5 in Championship, just 4 points ahead. No, sorry, not four, 6 points ahead of your teammate Wave, who's in
Mm.
sixth. I said top six, all in different teams. Kryptonite, who
Yeah.
only joined the league what 5, 6 races ago, is
Yeah.
in P7. If he would have joined at the start, I reckon he would have been either in front or within this championship battle.
Yeah, I think he's your biggest friend at the moment
Yeah.
because if you're in the lead of a title, you are very happy to have someone quick because if they win a race, and the point obviously points difference between first and second, 7 points. Point difference between any other positions is 3 or 2 or
Mm.
1. Um, if it means that if he comes first and you finish a position behind HYY, then you're still in the lead. And he's very much probably an annoyance to the guys that are chasing.
The only
Like it makes
problem
Tiggerby's
is,
job
yeah, I was about to say
much
the only
harder.
problem is he's teammates with Tiggerby, so some sort of team orders could come into play for it as well. We don't know.
Maybe, and that'll be more driven by probably Kryptonite than it would be Tiggerby.
Mm,
Down to Kryptonite, really, isn't it? What he wants to do.
exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah.
P8 is my teammate Campbell. I know he hasn't exactly raced as many races as well. A pair of us have basically just, well, for some reason one of us shows up one week, the other one doesn't. I think we've only raced like 2 races together at the same time. Um,
Yeah,
but it's still really
he's
close
a
in the
quick one.
constructors as well.
Yeah, I Red Bull are kind of throwing that away a bit, not through any fault of their own, because they got basically 100 points given to them.
Yeah.
Not being horrible, like it's not their fault, like, but no, it is. Yeah, it's basically just how it's happened. And you've got to think, well, what is this constructor standards? I haven't got them in front of me. Is it?
I did have them. I did write them up. I can't remember where I put them. Let me have a look. I know that us McLaren are closing right up on them.
Mm. It's something I've got to manually do because without boring everyone, the standings is not. It's brilliant. It's a lot better, and Carlo's done a great job with them. But their only downfall is it's actually very hard to change the driver
Yeah.
halfway through a season, keep the formulas. It probably isn't. I'm just an idiot, but I'm scared to mess it up to the point where I'll have to do it manually. I'll have to do it. I'll find some time tonight. I think it's over a beer
Yeah.
and do that. But it must be tight. It must be tight.
Yeah. I definitely reckon it is tight. I'm just trying to see if I'm just scrolling up to see if I can find it because I know it is somewhere up in the Division 2 chat. Here we go. So, um, this was before Singapore. Red
Mm.
Bull had 228 points. I think that might have increased
Mm.
only slightly though, because of well, Ben was the only one. Ben and Sterling were the two that finished obviously in the points, but only got what 5, 5 extra points for Red
Yeah.
Bull. So they're now
Yeah.
on 233. McLaren was on 184, with me getting fourth. That adds on an extra 12 points, so we're on 196. Is that right? Hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
July 5, I
196.
think.
Mercedes 183 after the race. It remains 183, and I think
Yeah.
Sauber might have. I think Sauber's overtaken Mercedes. Yeah, because both Mercedes didn't finish, so Sauber's now overtaken Mercedes because of obviously YHYY getting that win. They're now
Mm.
on 191 points.
I'd say it's really even because I don't think Sterling and Ben are the. I don't think they're going to win any races. I think
Sterling's
they could easily get podiums.
Sterling's won a race. I think Ben. I can't remember if Ben did win or got second. It was one of them two. But Sterling won Canada. I don't know because Ben is quick. I think he, as I said, he's just one of those people that if he likes that track, he will go hard for that track in a
Yeah, I think
non-sanctioned way.
it could be a case that no other team makes enough points
Yeah,
up in some ways. And if they just keep picking, if they pick up like 10 points a race, maybe people just aren't going to pick up tons of points in the races left because we ain't got many races left. So
no.
I think it could be tight. I think it's going to go down to the last race, almost certainly, which would be good.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It'll be very tight. We'll have to see obviously how that goes. But those are the Division 2 standings. I haven't got the rest of the top 10. Sorry, below the top 10. Um, in case you can't see it already on your screen, Breeze in ninth, only a point behind Campbell, and Mark is in 10th with 60 points.
Finally,
Finally on that top
got in
10.
the top 10. Dear me.
Oh, you got there eventually. Right, let's move on to the Division 3 standings. Oh, sorry, the results for
Hmm.
Division 3 in Singapore. So, they're on your screen right now with Dan getting in D2. He's he finished 44 seconds ahead of Morgan.
Yeah, it's just a casual 1.5 seconds a lap quicker than the next guy. It's
Yeah,
fine,
quite
not a
easy.
problem. It's really tough because the sad thing about it is, um, we were talking about this again like before we went on air. Like Division Three seems to have someone win by 20 seconds every race, but it's always someone different.
Mm,
It could one week it's Bones, one week it's Morgan. A lot of weeks it is Dan. In
yeah,
fairness, yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I am quicker than Bones, Dan, um, Morgan. I don't. I don't really, if I'm honest. I don't feel like I'm quicker than any of those guys when I race with them when they step up to D2. So um, yeah, it's just a weird natural overlap that happens. I think towards the end of the game, but yeah, I don't think he will be in the bottom. I'm almost certain, unless something crazy happens, he won't be in Division Three next season.
no, without a doubt. Unless he decides to try and do what I do and go with no assists.
Yeah, this is it. So it could be interesting. Could be interesting for see how he gets on in D2. I think he'd probably still get some results in D2 if I'm honest.
Yeah, without a
The
doubt,
way he's driving.
he would definitely be within that top spot for, well, not top spot for Division 2, but he will be like mid to top end of D2, I would reckon.
Especially if Singapore's.
It go by.
Yeah, Singapore he might be a bit handy,
Yeah,
but a good win for him.
yeah, definitely. Probably one of his most dominant wins, without a doubt. But as I
Hmm.
said, Morgan finished in second. Robert, impressive P3. He did start in second. He did qualify second, but obviously just lost the place to Morgan, which was unfortunate. But it's racing. There's nothing much you can do.
Good to see him get his podium on a street track because he loves the street tracks. So shout out to Robert.
Nicely done from him. The Mercedes of Jabo and James, P4 and P5. Adri ended up finishing in P6. Now, a lot of people, well, I say a lot of people, who was commentating it? I think it was either Bryn Mike was commentating here the D3 race. Apparently, there was a lot
Hmm.
of controversial driving, and that was happening with him,
With who, sorry?
with Adri,
Okay.
which is quite strange because
Um,
I know he usually he's a really clean driver.
yeah, but he gets wound up easy.
Oh yeah,
I know that. I know that with my my teammate. this season. Him and Wave were like oil and water when they first started racing. So
Yeah.
I think he can get a bit hot under the collar in races. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it actually. I haven't watched much of D3, which is really annoying because I love commentating D3.
Yeah.
Really, really, really do. I don't think I make it a secret that I actually prefer commentating D3 than I do D1. But you know, a bit gutted to not see much of D3. But yeah, I heard that there's not been some. Yeah, there's a few unhappy faces. I think with some of the driving. It's
Yeah.
such a tough track, Singapore, because all the corners are 90 degrees. They're not. There's not many corners that open up, like except T1. You can't really get a move done unless you actually do. And you've got to do something that interferes with someone else's line to
Yeah.
overtake almost all the time. So I think you can look at things one way or the other, and people sometimes think you shouldn't have hit me. I had the line. If you
Mm.
look at my Singapore highlights, there's a moment where me and Harry are going over about to go over the bridge. I've got the inside line, but I knew that there's no way I could have stayed ahead without making serious contact with him. So I just gave up the position. And you see it in real life F1 as well. People don't barrel into each other at 130 miles an hour
Mm.
just because it's not real life. And there's no side pod damage in this game. I think that's where people get a bit entitled, and when they do get caught up in an incident, they forget that you could have the whole idea of the game, in my eyes, is to avoid affecting your race and other people's
Yeah.
first and foremost. And that doesn't rarely is the responsibility of one driver. The velocity in Brie cases, that's a massive outlier. That Brie was just a passenger, but normally, if you've crashed, there's something you could have done.
Mm.
It's not about should or shouldn't. Like your job should be to first preserve the integrity of your race, and you need to think, could I have done that, regardless of whether the other guy's a dick or whatever you think. When you come off, like because you do think that. But I think that's what people forget.
Yeah. Without a doubt. A lot of people do end up sort of forgetting their own racecraft as such. Like
Mm.
at the end of the day, it is just racing.
Yeah, yeah.
But carrying on with the Division 3 standings, sorry, the results of Singapore. Mr. Wuta ended up finishing in 7th. I think that's a good result from him because I think that might be one of his first one of his first set of points. I haven't seen him race
Yeah.
much in D3 from what I have watched from D3, and I think this is, as I said, one of his first set of points. So P7 is not a bad result for him. Same with the Spaniard that finished in 8th. In fact, he qualified in 3rd. Tenient Frey, I think that's how you say his name.
Mm.
Actually qualified in
Yeah.
3rd. Now this driver I know is usually sort of in the mid pack of the field, I'd probably say mid to low pack of the field. So they've
Yeah.
definitely done some improving on their driving. Obviously starting in P3 but going
Yeah.
down to 8th. Again, racing, just got overtaken. There's nothing much more you could have done. I know tyre temps
Mm.
around this track are a massive issue, so it won't surprise me if that played a bit of a factor in it.
Mm.
Karkkonen ended up finishing in 9th, and Ibo rounding out the top 10.
Mm.
Our non-finishers all came below 11th. So Schmitsky on his debut, no, is it his debut race? It is his debut race, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
So Schmitsky on his
Yeah.
debut, LFC in 12th, Ryan B in 13th, with Ghost Recon in 14th, and the final driver down the bottom is Bones, who finished 15th. Ironically, all of these drivers, including Dan, finished with penalties, even the guys that DNF'd.
Big shout out to everyone on the street circuit, all getting penalties. Huge shout out. I got pens as well before someone types up in the comments. Yeah, I did get pens. Yes.
Luckily, I
But,
didn't.
yeah. Well, mad.
Yeah,
Really crazy.
that is crazy. But see, that's what they wanted to try and do to try and get as far as they possibly could. That's what they had to do.
Mm.
Now we have the standings. So Dan has now basically just ran away with this title. There's only 3 races left. D1 has 4, but we've got a Division 2/Division 3 crossover friendly race for Japan, which is happening tomorrow, obviously, as of this recording. Only
Mm.
because we've got the Champions League final that's happening tomorrow as well. And I think a lot of people probably prefer to watch that, which they're not dedicated enough. They're just not dedicated enough.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of them. Now that it's actually here, I'm looking forward to it myself, so I can't really comment. But
No
yeah,
dedication, man.
not, not really. Well, I get to see one team that I hate lose, so I'm buzzing.
Hopefully that'll be Spurs. Anyway, Dan in first with 190 points, repping the McLarens. Doing a good job. B Morgan is in second, tied with Jabo in third for points, both on 154. Now that is going to come down to the wire because I know both of those drivers are pretty similar in terms of their pace, in terms of their driving style. They are
Mm.
extremely similar. So it's just a,
Yeah,
and funny enough, it's a Mercedes versus Ferrari scenario.
yeah, and they've got. I think James, as well as a teammate, will be interesting because I don't really see much teamwork between the pair. I might be completely wrong,
Hmm.
but I don't necessarily see too much teamwork between the pair of them. So, but he could help him out. He could potentially help him out because I think James doesn't have any chance of winning the title now. So you might as well. It's quite fun to actually try and help someone win.
Try and win a title. Yeah.
In my experience.
Yeah. I think they're actually
Um,
also in the lead of the. I could be wrong. They're in the lead of constructors or McLaren are. I think it actually might be McLaren, but it would be really close between them and Mercedes.
yeah, you've got two almost Red Bull-esque drivers.
Yeah.
You know, they're picking up loads of, the odd podium here and there, but they're always kind of fourth or fifth or whatever. And then you've got like, well, I'm trying to, who can I compare it to?
Adri,
Uh,
Fuss.
you've got Adrian Fudge, very similar. And then you've got like Michael Schumacher and Eddie Irvine in the McLaren, um, with Dan being Michael Schumacher and Maka always somehow winning a constructors title. He always does this. It's quite irritating to most other people,
He
but
picks the best teammates somehow.
it's good style. I mean, it's a good skill to have, to be fair to him.
Yeah.
But, and I've alluded to this before, the similarities between this season and last season are actually very funny.
Yeah.
Um, you got Bones, a British guy who's quite quick. His teammates LFC, who's trying to challenge the quick European guy, whose teammate is Maka, and it's literally last season. Really weird.
And it was a European guy that came out on top, wasn't it, Mark?
It was, yes. It was, sadly. It was.
Uh,
Still
so it
can't.
looks
I
like.
would be so happy to see the end of Interlagos. I was the only person excited to see that new track, if I'm honest.
Fair enough. But yeah, B Morgan and Jabo, as I said, they're tied on points on 154. The battle of Mercedes versus Ferrari for P2. We'll see who comes out on top of that. Bones is in P4 with 148 points in the Toro Rosso. I think he missed out on the first race, but ended up sort of managing to claw his way back in through the rest of the races. I think he was in first in the championship at one point, but then Dan just seemed to have
Yeah,
found his feet and just excelled.
yeah. He needs snookers now. He
Yeah,
needs a lot of help.
yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he's what 42 points behind Dan with 3 races to go. He's going to need Dan to at least crash out on one, maybe even 2 of them if he wants a chance.
He's probably got to think that he's got to collect. So, how many points is he behind?
42 Bones.
So, if he collects 65 points, 2 wins and a third, that means he can only afford Dan to get 22 points over 3 races. So he needs at least one DNF,
Yeah,
and he needs one race where he comes third, and another race where he has an incident-packed race that puts him in sixth or seventh. So
yeah,
that's a lot to ask. A lot to ask.
that is a lot. But anything can happen. It is D3. Anything
Yeah,
can happen.
exactly.
Um,
It normally does.
yeah, exactly. Adri is in P5 in the Renault. I think he started in the Williams, but then he wasn't satisfied with the car, so he ended up going to the Renault. Fuzz in
Mm.
P6. The Renault aren't actually doing too bad. They're like the real life Renaults, just sort of
Yeah,
hanging around, trying to basically be like the dark horse team as such.
yeah, yeah, agreed. Yeah, both probably be disappointed where they are in the standings.
Yeah, they do both want to be higher, and I know that both of them they have the capability of it.
Mm.
Same with the next guy as well, Heated, P7. He's only 2 points behind Fuzz.
Yeah, he's trailed off a bit actually. He was doing really well beginning of the season, and he's trailed off.
Yeah,
Summer in Malta though, isn't it? You know, do you want to be grinding away when you could be sat out there in like 28, 30 degrees and a nice Mediterranean like summer breeze?
yeah,
That's what I'd
exactly.
be doing.
Exactly. P8 is the Force India of Robert. And then I did say Force India, didn't I? Yeah. Currently on 82 points. He's only 5 points behind Heated, funny enough. That podium at Singapore really did help him.
Yeah, I hope he has a good finish. Quite like to see him do well in his last few races.
Yeah, he could even be challenging for the top five a while for fifth place. There's always a
Mm.
potential,
Mm.
and he does have the capability of it. James is in P9. As I said, in the Mercedes, he's on 58 points, so I think he might be ruled out of this top five fight. And Karkonen is in P10, the other Force India, on 46 points.
Yeah, no assists on car cannon, so I always respect. Whenever he does well, I always give him props for it. So is James actually. James uses no ABS.
Yeah,
Doesn't use it very well. He normally clatters into the side of people a lot. He should probably consider not using it.
yeah.
But um, he's a nice guy and he's a really good like. He's got some serious pace when he wants to, but yeah, turn your brake pressure down a bit. That's my only advice.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I'm sure Did he not win Australia? Was it him
Mm-hmm.
that won
Yeah, he's
Australia?
rapid.
It was either him or Jabo.
He's really quick in Australia. I don't know what it is. It's a weird anomaly. Like he is lightning. Like quicker than he's probably quicker than us. But then every other track, like maybe not. I mean, he's quite quick at Brazil actually.
I need to inspect this because I am
Anything?
sure he finished in first in Australia. It was either him or Jabo. It was definitely one of the two Mercedes because I remember they were battling with Dan at the beginning of the season. And it was
Yeah,
Jabo. So Jabo won in Australia. Dan finished in second. James finished third.
yeah. Anything south of the equator, he is dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
it's still lots to decide in D3. I think people just much like D2 actually, except for the top 5 or 6 guys.
mm,
People just aren't consistent enough to like, even when they're 15 points clear with this like amount of time left, you just a DNF and a one decent result for someone else. So I think it's very open.
yeah, without a doubt. I think obviously I think the championship may be wrapped up for that. I think Dan has won that. Unless as I said, it's D3, anything can happen. But unless Dan has a major fault, I think he's won that championship, and I don't see him having a major fault anytime soon
No,
because he's been
you've
consistent
got
at the top.
to crash him out. You've got to get near him.
Yeah,
They can't even do that. So
bit of a tight one. It is that battle for
yeah,
second through fourth, Morgan, Jabo, Bones, and then the battle for fifth through to eighth, Adri, Fuzz, Heated, Robert, all within 17 points of each other. Those four, and Morgan, Jabo, and Bones all within 6 points.
yeah. No, it's a good couple of little battles, and I don't know. Maybe Dan will do us a favour. Maybe he'll have a little bit of a slip up, or I think he deserves to win it. So I kind of don't even want to wish it on him because he's definitely the quickest driver in the division. But it'd be fun to. It's always good when he goes into the last race.
Without a doubt. But those are all of the standings for all three divisions. Those are obviously the results as well for all three of the divisions in Singapore. We have the D1 race for Monza, which I'm probably going to upload this podcast on Saturday. So the the D1 race for Monza is happening at 6 o'clock today. We've got a D2/D3 friendly race happening at 4:45. Now that's going to be at Japan. I'm probably going to be the one commentating it, or well, I think someone else said they'd be able to. If someone else does, then that's not a problem by me.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know if I'm going to be around to commentate. Actually, I'm waiting on a Mr. LFC to come back to me to work out what he's doing.
Yeah, fair enough.
But that'll be fun.
I mean,
Sadly,
even
be
if so,
supporting
Ghost
Liverpool.
Recon can probably commentate D1. If they manage to get the channel, then they can commentate on D1.
Oh, they're in for a treat if he does. That guy
Yeah,
gets so hyped. I
I
did a
love
double
Herc.
overtake and literally this geezer just I thought he's gonna. I literally was worried for anything that wasn't locked down near him. I thought he was gonna throw his phone or something. Like he's going crazy. Like you need to experience Ghost Recon D1. He is passionate beyond.
He's the hype man.
He's the hype man. He is. It's Rob's hype man.
Without a
Yeah.
doubt. Is there anything else that we want to talk about before we end this?
I'd love to, but I've got to go.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna have to do some housework. So yeah, one of them. But
Fair enough. Right. Well, that is the podcast for all three divisions. As I said, we did cover the results over Singapore. We'll just go through them again. D1, New Waluigi was your winner, with Harry in second and Larkin finishing in third. And obviously with the standings now, we have Harry in first, Rick in second, Mitch in third, June fourth, Spine in fifth, Decky in sixth, New Waluigi in seventh with Larkin in eighth, Owen in ninth, Jerry rounding out the top 10. Then we go through to Division 2. White Chihuahua finished in first in Singapore, with Harry finishing in second and Wave finishing in P3. And then we've got the results for Division 2 as well. So I'm currently in first on 131 points, with White Chihuahua only 4 points behind me. In P2, Tiggerbeat in third, with Caesar in fourth, Ben fifth, Wave sixth, Kryptonite in seventh, Campbell in eighth, Bree in ninth, Mark in top 10, finally.
yes.
And then the results for Singapore for Division 3, we have Dan in first, with Morgan in second and Robert in third. Minute and 10 seconds behind the leader. That's just too extreme. It's just too
Crazy.
extreme. But and then obviously with the top 10, you got Dan in first, Morgan in second, with Jabbo tied on the same amount of points in third, Baggerbones in fourth, Adri in fifth, Fuzz in sixth, Heated in seventh, Robert in eighth, James in ninth, and Karkonen rounding out the top 10 for Division 3. Thank you all so much for watching this podcast. If you are still watching, I'd be shocked if you did, but thank you for watching. As I said, check out the Division 1 stream, which is going to be happening at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
And we'll see you there.
Cool. Cheers, guys.